On a cold winter night, a young mother vanishes into thin air.
Why would mom walk away from a little boy?
She didn't check in, didn't call the babysitter.
A frantic search fails to yield any clues.
I was angry because they kept telling me, well, maybe she met up with some guy.
But as Lieutenant Kenda digs deeper, he discovers a twisted tale of sex, lies, and deceit.
We don't know what happened, and that eats at me.
My name is Lieutenant Joe Kenda. I've solved almost 400 homicides. Every case is unique, but there's one thing that never changes. A life has been taken. Their stories are now my stories.
December 21st, 1991, 26-year-old Robin Bragg walks into the Colorado Springs Police Department. She is terrified and shaken. Her sister, 24-year-old Lorraine Laribeau, is missing.
Robin reported that Lorraine had been missing for a couple of days, which was quite unusual for her to be gone for a couple of days without contacting anybody.
Robin says that she and her family have contacted Lorraine's friends, but none of them have seen or heard from Lorraine in the past several days.
At points in her life, she had disappeared for a night or so, but she had usually always made contact with her mom or a sister because she had a child, and the family felt that without her making contact with her child was very unusual.
I heard from Lorraine at least every 2 days, if not every day. And so did her sister, Robin. So we knew something was wrong.
Robin tells police that her boyfriend dropped her sister off at a bar 2 nights ago, and no one has seen her since.
Well, the family was extremely concerned with her being missing because she had a very young child. They said she would not abandon. Their insistence is what pushed us to conduct further investigation into the matter. That report was subsequently forwarded to Major Crimes for further investigation.
The case file is passed along to the head of the Major Crimes Unit, Lieutenant Joe Kenda. Kenda's expertise will be critical in solving this case.
I'm reading this report involving this young lady, Lorraine Laribeau. Okay, she likes to go to bars, she likes to drink, she's with her friends, okay, so what? Then I get to the part about the child. The more I look into this, the more I don't know, the more I want to know. This has become the mystery. What happened to Lorraine?
The report goes on to say that Robin was hanging out at Lorraine's boyfriend's house. His name is Jerome Hardin. Robin's boyfriend, Anthony Phillip, was also there. Lorraine had dropped her son at a babysitter's house and has the night free. She wants to go out dancing at Bumpers, a local bar located just a few blocks away. However, nobody else wants to go.
Lorraine is annoyed with her boyfriend, Hardin, that he doesn't want to go to the bar, because that's where she's decided she wants to go. Robin kind of doesn't want to go either, because she has to work, and Anthony doesn't want to go, he has to work, and the only person that wants to go to this bar is our missing person.
Finally, Robin's boyfriend, Anthony, agrees to drive Lorraine over to the bar and drop her off.
Jerome Hardin was talking to Anthony Phillip about how upset he was about Lorraine going out to Bumper's Lounge that night. Something to the effect that if she goes out, basically we're done as a couple. Lorraine went anyway. Anthony went with her to Bumper's Lounge, and Jerome stayed home.
Robin says that that was the last time she saw Lorraine.
She didn't check in, didn't call the babysitter, didn't pick up her son, and just disappeared.
So, of course, we waited, and we didn't hear from her. After a day, then we really started getting really scared. She would never leave her son. So we called and said that Lorraine was missing.
Veteran Detective Lieutenant Kenda doesn't waste any time.
I called in a bunch of my detectives. I said, all right, I have a missing persons report here, so let's do it. We need to find her. What happened to her? And more importantly, who made that happen?
Something that we always have to look at is what are the circumstances around it? What are the possibilities? You go from what's the most probable to what's the least probable. We were looking at the fact that she had run off with somebody as being the least probable. We were focusing on where she was last seen around the club and the people that were closest to her.
Police focus on the downtown area in Colorado Springs, where there are many bars and nightclubs.
They checked a number of the bars in the area, La Jazz Affair, Bumper's Lounge, which was the one where she had gone to that night. There were a few that she frequented.
Bumper's Bar is a popular night spot. They have live music. They draw big crowds. And it's filled with the young crowd that Lorraine represents. We now have a much bigger pool of suspects. Everyone who could have, might have, should have, or usually is in that bar on the night she disappears. We contact the patrons, the employees. They all know Lorraine. She's a regular. Anthony's a regular. Robin's a regular. Jerome Harden is a regular. They know all these people. But because they're regulars, they can't be specific about what night they saw her in the bar. Was Lorraine in here the night she disappeared? I don't know. I think she was. Are you sure? Well, no. Because they see them all the time. So it's very difficult to get a specific memory of a date and time. Who else was in this bar that night? Well, all these people that are always in this bar, we think. So the bar is not helpful. Another thing that concerns me about her is she's little. She's 5'5" and she weighs 115 pounds. She couldn't put up much of a fight. She's out in the street. It's after 9 o'clock in the evening. What if she got abducted off the street? What happened to this girl? We don't know, and that eats at me.
But one thing Lieutenant Kenda does know is that in any missing person investigation, time is against them. If Lorraine isn't found soon, it's likely she won't ever be found alive.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And I'm feeling it in my bones. Mommy's not coming back. Mommy's not coming home ever.
It's been a full week since the disappearance of 24-year-old Lorraine Laribeau. Nobody has seen or heard from her since. A nagging question in Lieutenant Kenda's mind is, did Lorraine leave town voluntarily?
One of the things I need to do in my own mind is I need to eliminate the fact that Lorraine is a willful missing person. So we got to do a background on Lorraine. What kind of person is she? What kind of mother is she? All the steps I need to dismiss her willful disappearance.
Lorraine works as a waitress at a local restaurant. She's a popular young girl with lots of friends.
Lorraine was a beautiful woman, a wonderful mother. I looked up to her in so many different ways, as a younger sister does. Her smile was so bright and so powerful.
She smiled a lot, she danced a lot. She always had fun with her life. And when she growed up, then she had a beautiful little baby boy. She was just the apple of my eye. There was always something very special about Lorraine.
With each passing day, the victim's family grows increasingly upset with the investigation.
I was angry because they kept telling me the same thing. Well, maybe she met up with some guy, maybe she went away for a week.
I understand their rage. I understand why they yell at me. Everybody yells at me.
I knew that my daughter would never do that because no one knows their children better than their mother.
I do what I think is reasonable given the resources I have to use. The family is just emotional. I understand that. They are wild. There's nothing I can do about that.
New Year's comes and goes with no sign of Lorraine. Her family becomes even more distraught.
I had a dream about her. I could see her laying somewhere with her hair blowing in the wind. And I would sit at night and I would hear the wind blow. And it was like she was calling me from afar. And I knew she was there.
Lorraine's family distributes over 1,000 flyers around town. Robin and her boyfriend Anthony join in the search, hoping to bring Lorraine home safe. Lieutenant Kenda orders the search to include the entire county. It's a formidable undertaking.
El Paso County is the size of Rhode Island, so it makes a search a daunting task. We use canines, search dogs. We get no results. Then the question becomes, okay, where else do you go? We need information. We need more of it. We need it now.
With no leads, Kenda turns back to the last known person to see Lorraine, Anthony Phillip.
Anthony tells us precisely the same story Robin did. They're all drinking, they're all having a good time, but Lorraine wants to go to the bar. No one else wants to go, and there's a minor dispute about it. Anthony says, just to settle things, he offers to give Lorraine a ride to the bar.
Anthony says he and Lorraine left with Robin's consent, but he also adds that Lorraine was angry.
They drive away from the apartments. Lorraine immediately confronts him. She's out of control. She's mad for no reason. She's drunk, starts screaming at him, punches him in the shoulder. He said, she's drunk and she's mouthy and she's yelling at me. I've had enough. Get out of my car and go to the bar.
Anthony tells detectives that he watched Lorraine walk off towards the bar and drove away. After dropping her off, Anthony says he ran a quick errand.
He goes and buys a pack of cigarettes at a liquor store, and then he goes back to the apartment. Anthony says he reports what happened. They all laugh because they know Lorraine. Lorraine's mad, she's had a few drinks. He dropped her off. His story is a perfect match to what Robin tells us. So you think, all right, is he lying? Probably not. Why would Robin lie to cover up something involving her own sister? So this story is a believable story based on our limited knowledge at this point of the players.
But one of the players is about to add a twist. Robin calls Kenda with new information. Information she didn't share at first.
Robin Bragg comes back in, wants to talk to me about Jerome Hardin. She says they've been fighting. They've been fighting for a couple months. Lorraine likes him, but Robin doesn't think Jerome likes her back. She's suspicious of Hardin. What does that mean? But it's enough to make me concerned.
Robin says that after Anthony dropped Lorraine off, he returned to Jerome's apartment. Then, at about 11 p.m., she and Anthony went home. No one saw Jerome the rest of the night.
I thought Jerome had something to do with my sister. I really did. I couldn't understand why someone would hurt her.
The younger sister claims that Jerome told her if Lorraine is dead in a ditch somewhere, she had it coming. Whoa. Want to hook my attention? You just did.
In the course of an investigation, we will run the background of all those parties involved. And in Jerome's case, he did have prior criminal charges, dealt with weapons and harassment charges.
I'm reading his prior criminal history and I'm thinking, Jerome, you got bad habits. What if they relate to you wanting to break up with this girl, Lorraine, once and for all?
Jerome is a member of the military, but lives off base in an apartment complex. Detectives pay a visit, but he isn't home.
The neighbors think maybe he left, maybe he moved out. They're not sure. Why do you think he moved? Maybe he knows where she is and knows that she's not missing. She's just dead. And maybe he made her that way.
Kenda meets with the Criminal Investigation Unit of the Army and learns that Jerome has recently been deployed to Fort Irwin, California.
Jerome has been removed from his home by his work. And that was planned well before the disappearance of Lorraine. That part of the suspicion is removed. He does have to go. Although Jerome has a reason for moving out, it doesn't answer the question of where he was on the night that Lorraine disappeared. CID investigators confront Hardin in California, and they literally confront him. They say, hey, Jerome, you have this violent history. What'd you do, slap her around? Maybe a little too hard? Jerome absolutely denies any involvement. They hit him with the statement that if Lorraine was dead face down in a ditch, she had it coming. He denies having said that. He wanted to break up with her anyway. Her disappearance has solved that problem for him. That's his story.
Jerome's demeanor throughout this course of this investigation was detached. Is somebody really cold, or are they that way because they don't care about the circumstances? Cold people are really different than detached people. People who are cold are very capable of doing exactly what you think they did and looking you in the face and telling you they didn't do it.
Jerome's story is the same as Robin's story and Anthony's story. Jerome says after Robin and Anthony left, he went to bed. He did not go out. He did not talk to Lorraine. She did not call. She didn't come back. He had no further contact with her. Never saw her again. He's got a consistent story, but at that point, so what? The consistency ends when the witnesses leave. Anthony and Robin went home. So we still don't know where Jerome was. We know where he says he was.
Jerome claims he never left his apartment, but he can't prove it. And that makes him the prime suspect in Lorraine's disappearance. But for Lieutenant Kenda, the focus of this investigation is about to be radically altered.
A woman is out running with her dog, jogging through Sand Creek. The dog is out in front of her, not on a leash. And the dog becomes interested in something. She calls the dog, but the dog doesn't respond. She goes over to where the dog is. What are you doing? Then she sees a human body.
Just over 1 month after the disappearance of young mother Lorraine Laribeau, a jogger and her dog discover a dead body of a young female in a rural section of Colorado Springs, not far from Bumper's Bar.
It's fairly common to find human remains in these rural areas. Most of the time it's a suicide and occasionally it's a murder. The Sand Creek area is a place where construction people dump things, and they're encouraged to do it by the city. It forms a free sort of retaining wall. Where this girl is found is between two very large pieces of cement. She's almost wedged between them. It has every appearance that she has fallen.
She was badly bruised, had been there for some period of time. It was kind of a difficult scene to be at. The thing that strikes you is you just hate to think of somebody left out there in the cold like that in that particular state.
The victim is found wearing only a shirt and bra, no pants or underwear, and no identification.
All of that clothing matches the description of what Lorraine was last seen wearing.
Certainly her state of undress at the time her body was found was a question. Was this a sexual assault turned into a murder?
Police bring the body up the embankment. It's a moment Lieutenant Kenda will never forget.
You see dead people, I do, and you have to come to grips with it. You try to focus on the process and not on the horrible memories. It's not that you don't want to forget, because you desperately do. You can't forget. It is burned into your brain with a laser knife. You're not ever going to forget. But if you think about that all the time, you'd be a blithering idiot. Accept it for what it is. Bad moments.
The coroner finds bruising inconsistent with a fall. It looks like she may have been pushed.
Injuries sustained in a fall are typically to one impact site wherever the body strikes the ground. In Lorraine's case, she had impact sites to both the sides of the head as well as to the face. When you have multiple impact sites, those injuries are far more typical of some trauma that occurred prior to the fall.
10 yards away from the body, we find a cigarette butt, just one. Have no idea if it's connected to this. We collect it anyway. We look at the cigarette butt, we look at the brand of cigarette that it is. I'm aware that Jerome Hardin smokes. We check on that report as to his brand, and it doesn't match. We expand the search out from the body. About 300 yards up the creek bed are the lower clothing. Her pants, her panties, and her shoes. I look at those, aside from being exposed to the weather, they're not damaged, ripped, or torn. They have the appearance of having been willfully removed. If you're considering the possibility of sexual assault, that speaks against that. There's no force. She took her own clothing off. Somebody didn't force it from her.
And that means she may have known her killer.
You've got to wonder, how did these clothes get here? They didn't walk over here. It is extremely unlikely that she walked from here back and fell into the cement. I'm looking at her, I'm looking at where the clothing is, I'm looking at this cliffside, and I'm thinking, okay, car. There's a car. This is a remote area where kids go to make out, where people go to drink. There's nobody living around there close by. I can't think of another reasonable explanation, but I think that's a possible one. So I'm pretty convinced there's a car involved in this.
One of my girlfriends called me and she told me they just found a body on TV. And they're not saying who it is yet. When I looked at the TV, there was people bringing her body up like a little hill in a body bag. And of course, I didn't know for sure that it was Lorraine, but my thoughts went right away because they said that it was a girl in her early 20s. That's what they believed.
Two days later, autopsy results reveal additional clues about the victim's death.
The injuries are severe. She has a ruptured spleen. She has a ruptured liver. She has evidence of blunt force trauma to one side of her face, as if she was punched. The rest of the fatal injuries consistent with a fall. All fatal, but consistent with a fall.
But what the autopsy can't tell is the victim's identity. Police suspect it may be Lorraine, but they need a positive ID.
Because of the fact that we were unable to locate any dental records, it became important and imperative, actually, that a facial identification be made by a family member. We talked with all of the family members, and Lorraine's mom agreed to be the person to come in to identify her.
Try to prepare her, you can't. You could be the most clever guy in the world. You're not going to prepare anybody for what they're about to see. But it has to be done. Jane screams. That's my baby. I didn't like that. I'm holding her shoulders to keep her upright because she's going to collapse.
Jane Heiser's worst fear is confirmed. The victim is her daughter, Lorraine Larabeau.
When I went to the morgue to see her, they wouldn't let me touch her. I wanted to just feel her hair. I just wanted to touch her. I just wanted to let her know that I was there. I wanted to hug her. And I wasn't allowed to do that. I couldn't even touch her. And that made it really hard.
The only way I recover from those moments is to think about, I'm going to find who did this. I'm going to put an end to this.
After the body of Lorraine Larabeau is identified, the investigation goes from missing person to homicide. Lieutenant Kenda's assessment of the evidence suggests that Lorraine and her killer may not have been strangers.
It's 2 miles from Bumpers. She didn't walk 2 miles from where she got dropped off over to here. She gets here in a car with somebody. Something goes wrong. It goes wrong in the car. It moves to outside the car. She's either falls or is pushed over this cliff by who she's with. And when this person leaves, they throw her clothing out of the car. That's just a working opinion of how this could have happened. Do I know that? No. I think that.
As the investigation progressed, it became pretty apparent to us that an unknown was not our suspect in this case. We were dealing with a known person, somebody known to Lorraine, somebody known to the family.
The next day, as Lorraine is laid to rest, detectives pay close attention to the people attending the funeral.
It's kind of almost an information gathering type thing, not where you're out asking questions, but you're looking to see who's there, who's not, who should be but didn't show up. You're looking for the reaction of individuals, whether it's consistent with what you've seen in other funeral services, whether or not they're involved or not. Sometimes somebody involved will go to the funeral and you get some strange reaction. So you're looking for those clues that might help further your sense of the investigation or of a suspect.
The family was there, as was Anthony Phillip.
Anthony was alone, he was withdrawn, wasn't looking at anybody, and pretty much maintained that posture throughout the entire service.
But Jerome Hardin is still the #1 suspect. He can't account for his whereabouts the night of Lorraine's murder, and there's a close proximity between his apartment and the crime scene.
In any homicide, you always look to the people who are acquainted with the victim. So in this case, we had a boyfriend who was clearly a jealous type and clearly upset with Lorraine Larabeau for the fact of her lifestyle, which included going out at night and going to bars.
The autopsy estimates Lorraine's time of death as sometime on December 19th, the night she went missing from Jerome Hardin's apartment. But Jerome is adamant that he never saw Lorraine after she left his apartment. So who did?
Take all the if and what if and possibilities away. Whose car do we know she's in? Well, she's in Anthony Phillip's car. Now he says he dropped her off. What if he didn't? What if we're so interested in Jerome Hardin, we're not paying enough attention to Anthony? Let's get away from Mr. X for a minute and go back to Mr. Phillip, because he does have a car, and she was in it.
After the funeral, detectives re-question Anthony Phillip. He was the last person to see Lorraine alive.
So we bring Anthony in. Anthony, the family helper, who gets on the news with Mom to plead for the finding of Lorraine Laribo. That guy.
It's hard enough when you're telling the truth to be able to relate it in the same way each time, but when you're lying, it's almost impossible to get all of the details to match very precisely.
In my world, that's called the first lie. What I'm looking for is the first lie. If you're inventing this story, I'm gonna hear something that's changed. It may be subtle, but it's different.
Once again, Anthony tells police about the night he drove Lorraine over to the bar. But he forgets to mention one important thing.
I said, you know, you said in your first interview that Jerome was arguing with Lorraine. No, I didn't say that. The officer must have written it down wrong. Oh, really? We're in the business of writing it down right. If you lie to me, you don't make me angry, you insult me. Don't sit there and think that you're smarter than me, because you're not.
The inconsistencies in Anthony's story, however, are not enough to hold him, much less charge him.
There was no physical evidence recovered from Lorraine Laribo's body that could lead us to any particular person, especially to someone who had good reason to be with her in the first place.
Lieutenant Kenda has no choice but to release Anthony. Police now have two solid suspects, Jerome Hardin and Anthony Phillip, but no proof either killed Lorraine.
Myself and my guys were kind of split down the middle. Some of us liked Hardin, some of us liked Anthony. At that point, I liked Hardin better.
There's no concrete evidence, but that doesn't mean Kenda can't do some digging. It's time to go back to the beginning.
We come back to the time element. The thing you have to have is the opportunity to commit the crime. A time frame where it's possible for you to do this.
Two of Kenda's detectives re-examine the timeline of Anthony Phillip's story, so they drive the route between the bar and Jerome's apartment. The entire drive takes the investigators only 17 minutes. According to multiple witnesses, Anthony Phillip was gone with Lorraine Laribo for over an hour on the night she died.
Oh, Anthony, you son of a bitch. One thing I've learned over the years, it doesn't take long to kill somebody. And Anthony, you had plenty of time.
After single mother Lorraine Laribo is found murdered, Lieutenant Kenda focuses his investigation on two different suspects. Anthony Phillip, who is the last person seen with the victim, and Jerome Hardin, the ex-boyfriend with the callous attitude.
I thought both guys could be guilty, but the 45-minute discrepancy in the timeline really pointed to Anthony. Catch is, timeline isn't hard evidence. I needed a confession, and the best way I knew to get that was to play them off against each other. Rattle their cages and see if somebody will tell me the truth.
Police ask both men to submit to a polygraph test at the station. Jerome goes first.
The boyfriend, Jerome Hardin, was a concern, of course, because there did appear to be a level of animosity, at least from him toward her. Could Jerome have gone to find her at Bumper's Lounge and taken her home and gotten in a fight?
We give him a polygraph examination about the death of Lorraine. His story is very consistent. I don't know where she is. I don't care where she is, but I don't know where she is. After I look at him and watch him, he's been truthful. So I'm starting to lean away from him. Not completely yet, but leaning.
In Jerome's case, the polygraphist felt that he was being honest and that had nothing to do with the death of Lorraine. But you're not closed-minded to any portion of the investigation. Until you have the evidence that actually supports who did it, everybody could be considered a suspect.
And Anthony is just as good a suspect as Jerome, perhaps even better. Kenda tells Jerome to wait while Anthony takes his polygraph test.
Anthony took the polygraph and absolutely bombed it. One of the questions, are you responsible for the death of Lorraine Larabeau? And it peeks off the paper, so total failure of the polygraph.
While the polygraph results suggest Anthony may be the killer, it won't hold up in court. So Kenda asks both suspects if they will submit biological samples. Kenda's playing a game of psychological warfare.
If you are guilty of a crime, your worst enemy is your mind. And I know that. And I am going to give you a reason to consider what I might do next. So you play a game. You say, okay, I want biological samples from you. Make them wonder why I want that. I don't need it. I can't even use it. But they don't know that. So make them wonder.
The final step is to bring Anthony and Jerome together in the same room.
And I accuse them both, sitting next to each other. One of you guys killed Lorraine. One of you did. Hardin remains consistent. He is yelling at me, how dare you say that, you son of a bitch, I didn't kill anybody. What is Anthony doing? Anthony's not saying a word, because Anthony's starting to come undone. And that's what I want. I want Anthony to come undone. Anthony knows he's next, and I want him to know that. So I finally look at Anthony and I say, Anthony, you know the worst of this is I believe Jerome. And in fact, I believe you, Jerome, so much, I'm going to tell you to leave and go home. Anthony starts to get up. Where are you going, Anthony? Well, I thought we were done. Oh, no. No, we're not done. Jerome is done. Sit down.
Kenda's wild card is Anthony's timeline, and the time has come to play it.
I said, you know the problem here, Anthony? Inconsistencies. You say one thing, then you say something else. Then you can't explain where you were for 45 minutes. You left at 9. You don't come back until 10. You drop her off. You buy a pack of cigarettes. There's no crowd. You don't have to stand in line. You come back to the apartments. That's what you told me. Well, that's what happened. Well, see, Anthony, I have this problem. My detectives drove that several times. You know how long it took them to do that? An average of 17 minutes, 10 different times. You only do it once, and it takes you an hour. Odd, isn't it? Don't you find that to be odd? And now Anthony's starting to scramble. He breaks eye contact with me. He's starting to get really upset. His eyes are filling with tears. And he says, how much trouble am I in? Well, my, Anthony. I am talking to the right guy. Well, Anthony, you're in trouble. Because Lorraine is dead, and you made her that way. So you better convince me what happened, and don't lie to me. And Anthony blurts it out.
Anthony Phillip cracks under the pressure and says he never dropped Lorraine off at the bar that night. Instead, they drove to a remote location just to talk, but Lorraine had other ideas.
Anthony says that Lorraine comes on to him, starts taking her clothes off, she's drunk, she wants to make love to him. Anthony says, I can't do that, I'm with Robin, her sister.
Right.
She gets angry that he doesn't want to make love to her and is standing there yelling at him. Anthony says, you got to stop this, put your clothes on, get back in the car. He says she punches him. So Anthony says, I punched her back. I hit her in the face. The next thing I know, she fell over the edge. And did you look at her, Anthony? I looked. She looked dead. She looked dead. Did you do that? I had her clothes. You know, I just threw them. I drove away. And then you became part of the search for Lorraine? Well, I didn't know what else to do. You could have told the truth, Anthony. Did you consider that? You're under arrest for manslaughter. That case kind of served as a reminder for me. You got to stay with it. Even when you are frustrated, even when you are out of ideas, even when you have to start over. Because that's what you do. We're not in the business of giving up. And that case brought it home.
Anthony Phillips stands trial and is eventually convicted of manslaughter. He receives the maximum penalty for that crime, 6 years.
In the end, here he got 6 years for what he did, and I got a life sentence. I have to live with what he did to my baby for the rest of my life.
If we had anything, we knew we could count on him. But he broke that. It takes an animal to do what he did. To stand by us, to be in our house, to call my mom, Mom, to eat off of her dinner table, to go hang up flyers